This isn't just basketball, people. This is where what just happened happens all the time. Then, now, and forever. This is stuff of legend. Nah, legends. One for the ages. One for the record books. A global phenomenon. A cultural icon. There for the sharing. Dare we say, daring. This is Play It Forward.
Are bringing their message to the next generation of fans.
This is must-see, double tape, double tap entertainment. This is getting hyped for what's to come. This is spin move, no look, alley-oop, above the hoop, legendary athletic showmanship. This is ball meets joy, smiles for miles, for the love of the game, basketball. This is the world famous Harlem Globetrotters.
So excited. I'm going to change jobs from CEO at Worthix to moderator from Great Innovators.
You said you could handle the rocks.
Yeah, hopefully. But your challenge is way bigger than mine, I would say. So, as we were speaking yesterday, I was telling her I don't envy your job at all.
You said that 3 times.
Yes. And you will find out why. So I've been this journey as an entrepreneur and dealing with startups, I don't know, over the past 20 years for different ones, luckily. Because only one would be even harder. But like, you're going to understand this statement. Globetrotters is a 97-year-old startup for sure after everything I heard. And let's find out why. Right? Okay. So, Sunni, how did your journey lead you to work with the Harlem Globetrotters? So we can get to know a little bit more
Start there.
about you. Yeah.
Okay. Well, first, I'm excited to be here. So thank you, Brand Innovators, for inviting me. This is like 2 of my favorite themes on earth, right? So we're going to talking about, basketball and marketing. So it's like I'm blessed, which is probably one of the most awesome jobs that I could ever have. I've been with the Harlem Globetrotters for 3 years. Prior to that, well, actually, we'll just give you like the 30-second argue. So I'm a Midwest girl with Southern ways. I'm from Dayton, Ohio, which is my friend girl. We talked about that earlier. She was like, it's a very sad place. Some good people driving around Dayton, Ohio. So I went to Clark Atlanta University here in Atlanta. So the time I graduated, I was like, Atlanta is for me, Outcast, all that was happening. It was hip hop. I was like, I want to be there. From there, I started my journey in marketing, really from a promotions. I with street team promotions, like here in the A, hit the club scene, doing all that. And it really kind of opened doors for me. So one, there's power in relationships. It's just like my entire career was like kind of built on that. I ended up with Hickman, Family Entertainment. That is the parent company of the Harlem Globetrotters. And crazy enough, next year will be 10 years that I've been with Hickman. And I was the head of marketing at Dollywood, so the Dollywood company. I had the great pleasure. Where's team? Woohoo! Yes, the team and I worked together at Hickman, so excited to see her here today. And from there, I moved into sort of it's kind of a corporate role, but we don't consider ourselves that. Leading integrated marketing communications, working with many of our theme parks and aquariums and resorts around the country. And right in the middle of the pandemic, I got a call from our CMO at the time and said, "Hey, what do you think about, going to work, working on the Globetrotters?" I was like, what? So after I kind of closed my mouth, it was like, oh my gosh, absolutely. And really, it was the opportunity to join the organization at a time where pandemic stopped, right? Everyone's business, thinking about sports, entertainment, all of that, like we're all at home. And for this iconic 95-year-old brand at the time, that was one idea of touring, we didn't have that anymore. So the water faucet turned off. And really it's like, so now what? Like, what becomes of this iconic, globally recognized brand? And that's really kind of where my journey started a few years ago.
Amazing. And not only that, it's very clear that Globetrotters, they're an icon when it comes to the American sports culture, right? Can you shed light on how the team has innovated and even shaped basketball as we know it today, especially the NBA?
Yeah. Well, okay. So first, I gotta ask the room a question. So, like, who's ever seen the Globetrotters live? Yay! That's so good. Okay.
Can I give a testimonial?
Yes.
You all watched Here They Was, right?
Yes.
I proved that it exists in other countries, so I watched that in Brazil.
Yes. We talked about that. So yes, a Globe. Who is like, I never heard of the Globetrotters until today. It's okay. The ish. That's fine. So, which is, an interesting part of like our challenge, which we'll talk about. So just kind of quick, backing up to back forward. So the Globetrotters, formed in 1926, we're on our road to 100. So we returned 100 in 2026. So we're really excited about that. Back in 1948, 1949, two times the Globetrotters beat the Minneapolis Lakers, the world champion Minneapolis Lakers. That really led to putting a spotlight on African Americans and their capabilities in professional sports, specifically basketball. In 1950, that led to the NBA really moving quicker with integrating the game of basketball. And Nate Sweetwater Clifton was the first African American to sign a contract to play in the NBA. Nate was a Harlem Globetrotter. So the Globetrotters really have been trailblazers around this idea of integration. We talk about DE&I before DE&I was a thing. In 1985, the Globetrotters had the first female player to play a pro basketball sport, which was Lynette Woodard. She joined the Harlem Globetrotters, and that started to open the pathway to the WNBA. Continuing beyond that, the Globetrotters, we have more women basketball players than ever that are part of our rosters. All ballers are welcome. So we have specially able players that are part of our team. We have two players that have dwarfism that if you ask Jelani Hotshot Swanson, he stands, I think, 4'3", and he will tell you, he's like, and I'm the best stuffer on the Globetrotters. So diversity and inclusiveness has really been kind of cornerstone to the Globetrotters. So when you look at our history of how we started to influence the game of basketball years ago and how we kind of continue to do things to innovate and just think bigger and broader and do more. We just continue to do that.
And even the overall style of play, right? The jumps to fly.
That flash and flare of the game, that crossover, no look pass, the Globetrotters brought that style of play.
Yeah, I remember growing up in Brazil watching basketball. It used to be very technical in the way that they played until Oscar Schmidt, which was a great Brazilian player, started getting super close to the NBA, and then Globetrotters also flying to Brazil and demonstrating it. And then all of a sudden we saw basketball also changing in Brazil to become more of the fly, the jumps, the show that makes it even more beautiful as a sport, right? So good to know that Globetrotters is part of that. But there's something about Globetrotters that is also different than other teams that has to do with spreading goodwill. Can you talk a little bit about that? So how do you guys do that, and why do you guys carry that much?
So I think really early on the Globetrotters, and it continues today, and why so many people gravitate to the brand is the Globetrotters have a heart for people. And really what's so important and has been, and this is kind of continues to transcend generation and generation of players, just even the players and even within the organization, is how do they spread goodwill? How do they put smiles on faces? And Coach Sweetie Dunbar, who's one of our Globetrotter legends, who played with Metal has coached as a Globetrotter, is still part of the organization. He says every day, their purpose is going out, how can I put a smile on your face? Right? How can I make an imprint on Mark? How can they sort of just leave, have a person that leaves that arena or that interaction better than when they came in? So as ambassadors of goodwill, the Globetrotters started really early on. If they would go into communities, they go into schools, they go into organizations, and they really talk about education. They talk about health and wellness. They talk about positive image and working with peers. So earlier this year, we actually formalized that in Mom Star Goodwill Ambassador Initiative. That's really around three ideas: health and wellness, community empowerment, and education. And it is really based on what the Globetrotters have been doing around the globe, It's not just who you are on the court. How can you make an imprint? How can you influence them all?
And that says a lot about what you told me yesterday. That the team's purpose is to inspire the possibility of greatness to everyone. So all of those initiatives somehow they add value to that perception, to that overall branding image that you guys are creating. So basically, that's how you manifest your promise.
We're trying. Yes, that is, who the Globetrotters really are at their heart.
Okay, one thing that it's really interesting that made me make that statement about Globetrotters being a 97-year-old startup is that who here watched the movie The Greatest Showman? Right? So Globetrotters used to be a tour, like a circus, in the best way possible. Which means that not that long ago, whenever our families we wanted to entertain ourselves, we would think what we're going to do today, Saturday or Sunday, and then we would go whatever movie theater. We have like circles. We have different potential activities that we could do, and Globetrotters was on tour, and then you could go and watch it. But then over time, the digital world came in, and everything became more convenient, more channels, more definitions of the durations, more customer segmentations. People were more empowered to entertainment and then also to do whatever they want and get entertainment from different sources. And there you go. You have like a brand that it's that old that needs to reinvent itself, especially during the pandemic. So what happened? Can you tell us a little bit before the pandemic and after the pandemic? How do you migrate from being a tour company or a tour brand to being what you guys are today? And actually, what are you guys today?
That's a good question. So kind of the video shared, like, it's a hype video, but it is actually sharing like this is really who the Globetrotters are. Like we are really focused. We're in an era of growth and expansion. So yes, we kind of operate and treat that as if we're like a 97-year-old startup because we're really focused on that growth and expansion. I'm going to back up really quickly, just kind of the pre-pandemic and something that you said. There was a time where, right, so many people raised their hand and like said that they've heard of the Globetrotters and know the Globetrotters. I was first introduced to the Globetrotters as a kid on Scooby-Doo. Anybody? Right? Appreciate Scooby-Doo Club. That's how I knew the Globetrotters. And I also saw them on Wide World of Sports. I never saw them live until 2018. But so my connection points, right, were through television. So the Globetrotters have been at the zeitgeist of culture, right? They were on lunchboxes. They were on TV. You could see them live. You could see them in communities. They were like you could see them like on apparel. The Globetrotters were in all those spaces. And then because of not keeping up with the pace, right, of consumers, of families, of behavior, they really got real narrow and were only the singular idea, which kind of goes to your point. So when the touring business, right, when everything stopped in the pandemic, really kind of the assignment was, how do you reimagine this global iconic brand? And that's what you saw with the video. We have our Jay-Z moment where we have stepped out and we've said, allow us to reintroduce ourselves. You know us, but we should know us in a new way. And how are we reaching really what this day is about, that next generation of fans? So the team that we have now really come from multi-facets of entertainment, marketing, PR, content, digital, social, obviously our tour operations, and really where we're moving the Globetrotters to is to be a global entertainment brand where we're meeting families and consumers where they are. And for some, that might be on YouTube, right, with a short form series. It might be because you think Sherelle Torch George and what she does in her community and that she plays flag football. She's also a Globetrotter. You've seen her, you follow her on social, and now you have built a relationship, right, with her. Now that might be your point of entry because now you have an influencer, you have a hero, and that could be what brings you in the Globetrotters. It could be. And thank you all. I had many compliments on my sneakers and all the sneakerheads. Like we've been all complimenting each other. Like things, right? It might be through fashion, right? Because someone who was like, so we have partnerships with retailers and awesome brands, and where you see the Globetrotters show up. That actually might be your point of entry. And then our role, like the kind of assignment, which Keith used, it was like, I'll empathize, but I feel for you, is how do we continue to pull them along that customer journey and find more and more ways to connect so that if you have a chance to see the Globetrotters live, or you're getting that ticket, or if you have a chance to tune in to Harlem Globetrotters Play It Forward, for NBC, the more you know on Saturday mornings, check our local listing, right, that you're going to tune in. That's really what we've been working on over the last 18 months, and we're really proud of, right, the success that we have. And we have leadership, right? We have a team that really is supporting that vision of how we connecting with that next generation of fans.
Great. And one thing that it's very interesting about when you said is there's one thing that I love to say is that there's no such a thing as a business. It's all about people, and especially with Globetrotters. You guys cannot see your faces, but we can from here, and you're all smiling when we talk about the brand, and you probably remember when she said Scooby-Doo, everybody smiled. So there's a huge component of people and nostalgia that the brand carries with it. It's kind of a legacy. So as we transition to this new generation that it seems that is popping up every day, a new classification of generation, how do you keep up with the speed of change and at the same time protect that legacy? How can you make sure that in the future people will still have this smile on their faces, this feeling that it's something that carries along with the culture of the country and the culture that was part of different generations for generations?
Yeah, kind of that fabric, right, of the brand. Then it's interesting, right? So us in this room, we're like, yes, I remember. But we hear also in other rooms, they're like, hey, what? Like, do they dunk? Someone is right. So I think how are we staying connected, right, with both and? So there's an opportunity, which is really special about the Globetrotters, because those who know, right, they have those fond memories of where we can create shared nostalgia. So we want to connect and engage and remind and share the Curly Nils and the Meadowlark Lemons and the incredible basketball showmanship that those who are of older generations, and right, I can't keep up with all of the names of the new classifications. But if we think about that audience, like how are we staying connected with them? And now they're introducing that to now their kids and probably grandchildren and their other places of influence. The other areas like, kids and families. So when we think about, kids, how are we finding unique ways to connect with them in meaningful ways? And that may not start with seeing them live. So how are we bringing content right to them, on all of the screens? How are we bringing unique experiences to start to kind of get that, pulling on the purse strings or the apron strings or the dad strings or the parent strings, right? Of like, I want to know more about the Globetrotters. I was talking to the woman from Fetch. Where's she at? My friend from Fetch. So we met in the lobby and we came up together and, what do you do? She's like, Fetch. I was like, Fetch. And she was like, the loyalty program. I was like, oh, I know Fetch. My 13-year-old daughter, put me up on game and, introduced me to Fetch. Because she's like, Mom, give me that. We went to Lululemon. I need your receipt. I need your receipt. So she's scanning these receipts. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm getting my loyalty points because I'm going to get some gift cards. She introduced me to that. That's part of our assignment, right? For how we start to, one, create that connection point for both those who know and love the Globetrotters who, have the history and those who are, newly introduced via the TikToks of how we're meeting, right, our audiences in those places.
So for them, it's brand new. For them, it's the first experience.
Sure it is. And then they can go home and tell Brent, I saw the Globetrotters on TikTok and they did this dance and this video, or I saw them. And you're like, the Globetrotters, I know the Globetrotters. And now you're having conversations, right? And now that exploration together starts to happen. That's what we're working to create in different ways. And you ask well, how do you keep it, the continuity, right? The thing that makes the Globetrotters special. That's really part of the DNA. And one of it is just really about both our players, our coaches, and then their love of, what they create and becoming a Globetrotter. So ensuring that basketball showmanship, the incredible athleticism, right, continues to show up. Ensuring that there's ways where people can actually learn and get to know the players on the court and off, because that's where the smiles and the personal bond, right, happens. I talk about, some of my favorite, right, celebrities. I would talk about, Chrissy Teigen. And I was like, Chrissy Teigen's my best friend. And she's awesome. And I know John Legend. And I saw him perform. And I know what's up with the kids. And this is. I've never met Chrissy Teigen in my life. Not once. Don't know. She doesn't know me. But through social, right, and Instagram, like, you kind of get introduced, right, and you can learn about, right, individuals. That's what we're creating with the Globetrotters.
Incredible. You said something about brand DNA, and I love that. And I have a quick story to tell. I see a lot of brands, especially in the tech industry, because we have to move super quick, that they don't put an effort to create a DNA for their brand. But that's so important because that can hold you, they can keep you alive for so many years. And the story that I have to tell is like my son, he's now 17, about to turn 18, but when he was a very young kid, one day he was, I don't know, running around the house and I put like a DVD for him to watch, and it was Michael Jackson. He had no idea who that guy was.
Wow.
And it took like probably 2 minutes for him to fall in love. For that guy, for that brand, for that music, for everything that he represented. So it wasn't a coincidence that he was a great success. It was totally the DNA of everything he was doing on stage, because that young kid was in love. And from that moment on, my son was talking to my dad about Michael Jackson as if it was as if he was still alive, like he wasn't anymore. And I think that that's really important. So again, when you hold a strong brand DNA, somehow you can always deliver value, which is what's, again, it's going to trigger the behavior, the transaction, the loyalty, and so on and so forth. However, you guys have a big challenge, because if I want to deliver value to someone, it's better for me to be empathetic first and know who that person is, what are their needs, what they expect, what they want. Otherwise, as a marketer, I cannot do good marketing for that, right? Who's your ideal customer profile? Are they kids? Families? It's more related to the social demographics, like their gender, their age, and the place where they live, or it's more related to the jobs to be done. And like I'm a parent and I have to, or a grandparent, and I have to entertain kids and I have to keep them busy. So how do you define your ICP, and how do you tackle these different ICPs throughout all of these alternatives and possibilities? Because it seems that you're navigating on a sea of unknown, right? And a lot of marketing based on intuition. So how do you define your ICP, and how do you tackle that challenge for a brand that it still has to keep this DNA and deliver this value to all of these people?
So see, when that question that he has asked, when we talked about this last night this morning, he's like, I could not be you. That I don't know how you and you're I don't know how you guys are tackling this challenge.
I head of marketing has a much smaller challenge.
We have a lot of incredible, passionate people that are really kind of driving the brand. So I would, who's our audience, and are we really focused in terms of like, right, both on their demographically, or I'd say kind of some like interest, behaviors, right, needs. I'm going to step back to step forward with that question. One of the things that I love about the organization that I work for, Hershen, and which is why Harlem Globetrotters is a really, really great fit, is our mission is to create memories worth repeating for families. Our mission is being to create memories worth repeating for families. Raise your hand if you do not want that in your life. So because it's grounded in that, right, that's where we can start in terms of like, how do we create that value of creating memories individually with your besties, with your bros, with your family? How do you put the Globetrotters in a position to do that? So first, that's kind of, that spans, right, so many audiences. Kids and families, a really important, right, audience for us, because, kids the possibilities are endless, right? They're looking for their role model. Research has said, like, kids want to spend time with their families. Like, they want those connection points to be able to entertain and just to be able to bond. So that's an important audience. And from preschool up, and we're looking for, like, what are the ways that we connect with them in a meaningful way, be it that's content, be it live. Then we have, and I talked about this a little bit earlier, sort of the Gen X backwards, right? The baby boomers, those who are like parents, grandparents. I'm actually in that group. Our president, Keith Dawkins, he was actually doing a talk, and he was like, yeah, I think I'm in that one. I don't know that I love that, but I'm that one. I'm there. Right? So we have that audience where it is kind of that shared nostalgia, and you're creating these conversations like the story that you shared about you and your son and, right, the introduction of Michael Jackson. And then there's this group in the middle where we kind of talk about them, but those who have the culture currency. Those are those millennials, those who are like influencing and shaping like what's hot. They're the ones who said Crocs. Those are it, right? It's like, those who are, bringing the big shoulder pads, right, back from the 80s. Those are the ones who are like, helping to shape culture. So how are we connecting with that audience? And it's not going to be in the same way that we connect with, parents and grandparents. It's not going to be in the same way that we connect with children. So that is why we have kind of all these big rocks. And the way that you saw that in the video is you saw Globetrotters with awesome backpacks. We've done partnership with Lids. We have awesome partners that we're working to collaborate. We just announced a partnership with Spalding, who's our basketball partner. So partnerships are one of the ways in which we're starting to do that, to where we're finding those places where we can intersect with all of these audiences, content, digital, social, our press, our corporate social responsibility. It really has taken all of those things.
So each one of them, they have their ICP, and you're just navigating through their expertise. The reason I'm saying this is because in a panel before, for brand innovators, see, I've been doing this for a while. I was talking to the CMO at Zappos once, and she said that social demographics didn't matter that much for Zappos. It was more about the jobs to be done. And the CMO or equivalent at Puma, Allison, she said that social demographics were really important, especially now that Puma is stepping into motorsport, which is majority males at a specific age, right? Again, she's selling sports apparel, which is one of the things you're doing. And it's for a very specific group. So the challenge is much smaller than you that has to do sports apparel, you have to do videos, you have to do editing, and all of them should bring them back to the legacy, right?
Absolutely. It should bring you back to the brand, right? And really it brings you back to
The DNA.
To the DNA, which is really around authenticity, inspiration, it's fun, it's athleticism, it's the showmanship. It's like all of those are kind of the filters, right, that we always apply to whatever we're doing. But it's really about like, how do you get to that next generation? You got to meet them where you are, right? Those consumers, you got to meet them wherever it is that they are. And that's kind of the work that we're doing is, again, for me, it started on television with Scooby-Doo, and then it's kind of more from there. For someone, it might be different. And just how do you continue to deliver the value, to understand the needs between both. Let's be really targeted, right? Because we can't just spray and pray, right? But let's be very targeted based on like what we're rolling out by way of a campaign tentpole tour with the segments of the audience that we're reaching. If it's a television show, if it's content, like how are we really focused on that audience?
And the partners become enablers of that because it's divide and conquer, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's more and more challenging, right? Our jobs, right, as marketers are more and more challenging. They used to say, at one point it was like 11 touch points before you can get the, right? Remember that? It was like 11, right? Try 500. But strategic partnerships are really important to us because it's really the way that you can kind of leverage collaboration, right? Where we have like-minded interests of how we want to connect with consumers in a thoughtful way and doing it in so many different areas. Like, where's Carter's? I have an idea. We have an idea. So, right. But it's like, understanding like, well, what's important to Carter's? How could that tie into what's important to Globetrotters? We love kiddos. We have like some concepts. I'm not going to say it out loud because it's being recorded, but how we can create like those connection points. We just announced, and we talked about this, on Monday, we just launched a partnership that we're doing with Microsoft. So Globetrotters and Microsoft, we are tied to our corporate social responsibility, our Goodwill Ambassadors Initiative. Education is important. So we created with Microsoft a coding-based program that teaches elementary and middle school kids how to code. And they're creating a Globetrotters game. Isn't that cute? Right? So we had like 60 elementary and middle school kids in New York at the Microsoft garage with our players, and they're actually doing the coding program and they're playing the game. Mm-hmm. So that is, for several of those kids, first introduction, right, to the Globetrotters ever. But oh my gosh, the curiosity, the conversation, right, to see like, I'm coding you right now, and your jump shot is off. No, I'm kidding. Right, but being able to like have that interaction, like that's the way in which we're leveraging like partners to kind of bring those two ideas together, and we're doing it in every facet.
And to add to that challenge, 5 minutes, okay. And to add to that challenge, like we were talking earlier, Kate and I, about micro influencers, and a lot of brands, they're hiring influencers to represent their brand. But when it comes to a sports brand, what they're doing is usually different. Like in Formula One, they got Alonso, one of the drivers, to get into TikTok. So to make Alonso an influencer for the brand and for the team. And I guess you guys are doing the same, right? It's not about hiring influencers to create the social proof. It's to empowering your players to be the influencers in the digital world, right?
Absolutely. I mean, our it's just incredible talent, right? And they're incredible people. And so many, they're digitally native. Okay. Okay. They are influencers. So it's really how are they using their platforms, right? And how are we supporting them on their platforms to share their story, to talk about who they are as players on and off the court, how they're connecting with fans. So it's really in the same way that, people know, right, the Metal Art Lemons by name. We want them to know the Corey Thunder laws. And that is the work that we're doing because they have influence, they have platforms, and they navigate, right, digital social, they're content creators. So just kind of one of our strategies, like, we'll probably just collaborate with these incredible people that we already have in the organization.
Another thing that it's interesting, and might go a little bit over a tiny bit, it's that a lot of marketers nowadays, they can leverage on data. So you just observe like historical series of data, you learn your lessons, and then you try to cause whatever effect you want again, right? And that's making our lives as marketers a lot easier. But another reason why I call them a startup, whenever you're innovating and launching a new product, you don't have data in the past. So everything you do, it's kind of for the first time, which seems that it's a lot like what you're doing. So can you leverage data, or you're playing mostly based on intuition and benchmarks? And can you talk about that? How does it feel to not have that much data and play by intuition?
Where it's like both and, right? So we have like disparate data, like stuff that has been like everywhere and passed on. There were, folks that just had knowledge. It was just kind of in their heads. But like we didn't have that data in our hands. So, research and insights and analytics has really become, paramount, right, to what we're doing in terms of what do we know about those past purchasers that have experienced Globetrotters on the touring side, to get that in one place, to aggregate it, to find lookalikes, to understand where they are, what's that footprint, what's their interest, and how do we go out and find more of them, and other interest areas that's not just touring, right? So we can start to target them that way. The other thing, right, that we're doing is we're building the plane while flying it. So, one of the things that I think is really great about, our organization and our leadership is like really supportive of like, we're going to test, learn, and let's just try and fail fast. Fail fast and like pull the things that are great, and how do we continue to optimize and learn from that. One of the great things about digital and our digital platforms and channels is like they're a wonderful testing ground, right, for content, for campaigns. And if something that we found like is a great short form series that we've done, like our Fan Friday series where everybody can go on Globetrotters, go ahead, go home in your yards, show us your moves, and share that on social and tag us, and you could be featured in our Fan Friday, right? And how that has really grown as a campaign and is creating great UGC, but we're learning from that. And then our production group, right, on the live side, is like they can bring aspects of that into our live show. So utilizing those platforms and really doing what's right that makes the algorithm happy, right, from a content standpoint, and then pulling those insights and applying them to other areas. Same thing we're doing with product. Understanding the products that are with our collaborations that are the sell-through is really, really strong. It resonated great, right, for that consumer. How do we create more of that and understand who was that buyer and how we continue to go down that path?
See, that's why it's a startup. It's very much a fail-fast strategy. That's what we do most of the time. And whenever it works, we got applauses, right? And we're like, I'm not sure if I did this. I just ran too many experiments. One of them had to work, right?
Powers of the progress, right? Celebrate your progress. It's not just about what you finished and, right, the results of it. If you're making forward progress, right, and you are progressing, give yourselves high fives and celebrate that, right? We always kind of, let's start, and then we'll kind of give some recognition and praise at the end. It's a journey.
Yes, totally. What does the future hold for Globetrotters?
We're on our road to 100. So as I shared, our 100-year anniversary is 2026. we're evolving to be a global entertainment brand. Our doors are wide open. We want awesome, great partners to join with us on as we continue to grow and meet that next generation of fans and consumers, which is kind of what this day is about. And it's an exciting time, right, to be part of this organization.
And please check them online. Her numbers are incredible in terms of engagement in all platforms, so it's impressive. Any questions? Let's open for questions.
You talked about inspiration a lot, and things like And One tournament, and more recently, what I've seen a lot, Savannah Bananas. Like, it's clear your inspiration is in there. Curious, like, how you see the attention being paid to that, and what you think about it from a marketing perspective.
Yeah, I think, nothing is necessarily new under the sun, right? And I think the Globetrotters, in terms of what we've done in terms of trailblazing innovation, doing it in entertainment, we expect that to start to show up in different ways. I think it's kind of a positive sign, right, to see sort of other brands that are doing similar, to say like it's something that fans and families want, and it just kind of allows us to sort of know that what we're doing as we're continuing to evolve and innovate and figure out so what's next. So who's the next brand that'll kind of be inspired by the Globetrotters that would continue down that path.
Totally unrelated to marketing, but how do you guys source players, or how do you find the next?
Yes, you are. We actually have our head of recruitment. His name is Al Cocker. He's spectacular. So he's constantly looking out for talent, and we'll actually be having our player tryouts next week.
Where's that at?
Are you ready? I got you. And actually, kind of future state, that's as we look to find that next, who wants to be that next Globetrotter. We have some big ideas around that of how we can kind of continue to expand that and open up just to see who's got next.
More questions, or we good? Okay, Kate.
So
Thank you, Kate. We agree.
You have a lot of stuff on your plate. What does your marketing team look like? What kind of support do you have in-house? Do you partner with agencies to get it all done? You've got such a huge audience to work with. How do you do the work?
We have an incredible team.
Just asking, do you sleep?
We do on Sundays. No. We have an incredible team, and we're growing. So I think that's one thing that's important. I have a consumer marketing group, promotions marketing, and digital marketing team that's kind of underneath my umbrella, and then corporate social responsibility is also under there. So we work with partners in-house through our corporate office, our property support center, the marketing, technology, insights, and analytics. So we kind of surround ourselves with great thought partners, both inside and outside of the organization. Because partners, that counts to help us do the work, help us to think ahead and grow. But we're lean, and it's the success that we've seen and the growth that we've seen is really, really it's great momentum. So I think our org chart is written in pencil. All right, and our leadership, we're thinking about so what do we need to look like to be able to support and drive all of these different areas as we continue to grow and expand. Great question. Anybody else?
I guess that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.